Welcome to the Doggy Dojo. I'm your host, Susan Light, a Los Angeles-based dog trainer on a quest to become worthy of the title Sensei of the Doggy Dojo. Today we're talking about an aspect of dog training you may not have heard of. It's canine fitness. My guest is a certified canine fitness trainer specializing in corrective exercises for dogs. Her services help to improve your dog's posture and movement while preventing injury. She also offers workout with your dog and dog yoga classes so you can get fit with your dog too. She says all dogs can benefit from a well-rounded exercise routine. That includes puppies, senior dogs, athletes, and even the couch potatoes. She holds both CP, CFT, and CCFT credentials. Those are the two most credible canine fitness trainer certifications that are available worldwide. And she's the founder of Sit, Stay, Squat. You can find more information about her on her website, sitstaysquat.ca. Please welcome Sarah Keller. Sarah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about this. Canine fitness is something I don't have much experience with, just like periphery things that I've seen clients that have had it done. So I'm just really excited to learn more about it. What does canine fitness mean?
So just like with people, dogs benefit from having a well-rounded fitness program that includes muscular strength, core stability, flexibility, body awareness. I've gotten super passionate about being able to see the physical changes in dogs. So there's just certain indicators that a dog maybe is lacking core stability. They'll have a bit of a dip in the top line, so being able to kind of build that up. I'm able to tell, I guess, if a dog is super tight in their back or their rear, and just kind of being able to fix all of those areas to prevent the likelihood of injuries happening and to keep dogs more comfortable.
How common is it for dogs to have some kind of imbalance like you're talking about, where you can see that they specifically see it in them that they need a program?
I would honestly say all dogs. Every dog that I've been able to look at in their standing, sitting postures, as well as in movement, they all have something that they can work on. So dogs are, I don't know, they're just really great at, I guess, compensations. They seem to have lots of different things that they compensate, more so than people. People are often kind of rounded shoulders and that sort of thing because we all do the same things and our bodies are so similar. But dogs are so different and they all have different jobs and different things that they do. So yeah, lots of them. I would say every dog that I have seen could use canine fitness.
Yeah, it's funny because when you say, I was just about to say, I bet if you asked a personal trainer that, they'd be like, well, there's not one human I couldn't make, better in some way with the program.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, for people, I think a lot of our goals are very much like fat loss and gaining muscle. But even, for myself, just preventing injuries is so much more important to me. And that's what I am more concerned about with our dogs as well. I don't really care if a dog is super shredded, lean muscles. I just want them to be comfortable and live a happy, healthy, long life.
So you're talking a lot about functional fitness, being able to move without causing injuries.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, though, about like fat loss and healthy weight, because that's also something that we need to do for our pets, right? And a lot of times just regular trainers like myself, there's a component in our training plan to make sure the dog has enough activity, enough stimulation, those kinds of things. Does your program include any kind of, I don't want to say like cardio, do you know what I mean? To get them just more exercise that doesn't have a specific goal like that?
Yeah, so it depends on the dog I'm working with and the program that we're doing. So for most of my customized canine fitness programs, I don't include a cardio regime. I just am really focusing on improving posture and movement. But if a dog is overweight, then I will suggest more frequent walks. Most of my clients are pretty good with walking their dogs, so it's not something I really put in. I don't do a lot of running with most dogs unless we're doing the fitness classes with the humans, because I also do workout with your dog classes. So we'll incorporate a lot of cardio there. But my main focus is more so on improving posture.
Okay. And are there certain breeds that you see a lot of the same kinds of imbalances in over and over, like things we should watch out for?
I mean, one that comes to mind right away is dash hounds. They really need the core stability just because their backs are so long. They're prone to that instability and back problems. Dash hounds and a lot of small breeds tend to have, we call it carpal valgus, where the front feet turn out. So I think some sport dog people call it easty-westy feet, which I see a lot in the small dogs for whatever reason. So just kind of strengthening the muscles of the toes, the carpus into the shoulders is really beneficial for dogs that are showing those compensations, just to prevent the likelihood of arthritis in that area. Yeah, I feel like a lot of bully breeds tend to have the sway back top line. So it's just a dip in the top line. Basically, the forces of gravity kind of get the top line to sag a little bit. So we want to make sure that the core is nice and strong to resist that sagging so they're able to stand with good posture. Yeah, I don't know. Those are kind of the only ones that come to mind. It all is really specific to the dog and what the dog does day to day. And it also kind of depends on the breeding of each dog, because there's, of course, going to be dogs that are well bred that are going to have better structure. And because of that, they'll have better posture. And then more of like the backyard bred or rescue dogs typically don't have as great structural genetics. So you'll see more of the compensations than you would with a very well bred dog.
Oh, that's interesting. I was thinking genetic too about like the dogs that run to hip dysplasia, but I'm not sure if that's something that canine fitness can help prevent or not.
Yeah, it definitely can help prevent. I mean, depending, I guess, if it's going to be hereditary, but a big thing is just working the stabilizers of the hips and making sure that the hips are nice and mobile in appropriate range of motion. And yeah, if a dog already does have diagnosed hip dysplasia, I do require just like a vet clearance just to make sure that we're doing kind of the right things there. But as a preventative measure, it is huge. I actually have like the human variation of hip dysplasia myself. And for me, working on core stability and hip mobility are huge for me to not be in pain. I find when I slack off on my own corrective exercise workouts, I definitely can feel it in my hips.
How closely do you work with vets in general? Is it usually vets sending dogs to you for training, or you sending people to vets to get checked before you do their programs?
There's a lot of both. I am not qualified to diagnose any injuries. I just kind of have, I guess, the trained eye to see like, hey, I think there's something going on there and you should definitely see your vet about it and maybe get some diagnostics done. And yeah, I have vets refer clients to me as well, just because I do have more of a fitness training background than a veterinarian would. So I do work really closely with the vets just to make sure that everything is good. And then kind of similar to, I guess, like a human personal trainer, they're not a family doctor, and a family doctor isn't a personal trainer.
Right. Canine fitness wouldn't be appropriate for all issues with your dog's mobility, but for some.
Exactly. Yeah. As long as the dog is cleared for exercise, we're good to go. We just kind of have to make sure that I can make the programs appropriate for that individual dog.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what happens if people just say, I'm not going to worry about canine fitness? What happens to these dogs?
Well, unfortunately, those are the dogs that tend to then are more likely to get arthritis or other issues coming up with back problems, a lot of IVDD incidents in dash hounds. I mean, a lot of that is genetics, but I think that if we are able to, now that we know more about canine fitness and how it can be a preventative for lots of things, I mean, I think it's way easier and better for the dog and more cost effective than waiting until an injury happens.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And one of the things you said earlier, you said like flexibility, stability, and body awareness. Can you describe for everybody what you mean when you say body awareness?
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like probably everybody is familiar with their dogs, don't really seem to know that they have back legs. That seems to be a thing that, yeah, they don't know that they're in control of those things until we kind of show like, hey, like these are yours and you can move them how you want to. So yeah, just I guess making them aware that they can back up and they can sidestep out of situations if they need to, and to be picking up their paws to get over things and not hitting into things. Yeah, and just kind of like a proprioception element, just kind of making sure that the appropriate feedback is coming from their limbs to their central nervous system, and just, yeah, that they can control their bodies and Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. They're just kind of spastic, right? They're like, if you've ever seen a puppy just like run through the house, just like no
Totally.
idea where they are in space.
Yeah, and if they, I mean, don't know what they're doing with their limbs, like that definitely predisposes them to more injuries if they're kind of running into things or stepping on things that they shouldn't. And yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. You can find Sarah at sitstaysquat.ca or on Instagram at sitstaysquat. She offers lots of free videos, so definitely follow her, or you can even sign up for her newsletter. Your dog will thank you. We'll be right back. What are some examples of, like, what are these exercises like? And do you give a regimen of, like, it's 10 exercises you do twice a week? Like, you don't have to give a specific, but give me a little bit of an overview of what a canine fitness program looks like.
Yeah, so I start by analyzing the dog. And for my online clients, I do a lot of photos at different angles and different postures, as well as videos, different gaits and different movements. And then same with my in-person clients, but it's also nice to be able to get your hands on a dog and be able to feel if there might be any, like one side is more muscular than the other and something that you might want to work on there. So from there, I just kind of make notes on what I see with the dog and areas that could be improved on, and the kind of exercises that I would implement to improve those areas. From there, for a well-rounded fitness routine, we want to work all planes of motion. So we want to do forwards movements, backwards movements, sidestepping, and dorsal bending through the spine. So spins and stuff like that, just to make sure that the muscles are being completely worked at all angles. So I try and fit those in with all of the workouts. And yeah, then my typical recommendation is to do the workouts about 3 to 4 times a week. And they usually take about 15 to 20 minutes. And each workout usually has about 5 or 6 exercises in it, just kind of depending on the dog's fitness level and all the things I kind of want them to work on. And
yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah. And then we usually progress every 2 weeks. So then you'll get new exercises. So it might be completely new exercises, or it might just be more sets and reps on the current exercises, just kind of depending on everything that that dog needs.
And how do you know, because I just started working with a trainer. I know that sounds bougie, but it's like a small group thing. And I know that I'm like sore, and she's like, try to do 8 or 12. And it's like up to me to try to like decide how many I can do. How do you know how many? Because isn't that a crucial part of exercise, is doing just enough, but not too many?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know how many the dog can take of each exercise?
So it's super important to pay attention to signs of fatigue. So in dogs, that's, either moving really quickly or really slowly compared to how they normally move, refusing an exercise, getting kind of, I guess, silly with it, if they start shaking, like that sort of thing. So we do want to stop the exercises before we get to that point. My exercise programs are fairly conservative because they are focused a lot on like good posture and controlled movement patterns. Dogs don't typically, like, it never gets to a point where it would be unsafe or painful for the dog. But yeah, I guess just kind of figuring out what that dog's level is, and then giving the appropriate sets and reps based on where that dog is, and then just kind of feedback from the owner, like, hey, I think my dog could maybe do a little bit more, or I think, they were starting to get fatigued near the end. Let's maybe cut it back a little bit.
Yeah. So do you usually have them video their workouts if they're digital clients?
Yes. Yeah. I think that's super important, just because even myself, I find video helpful. You don't always, when you're working with the dog, kind of see everything that's going on. So I highly encourage everybody to take videos of their workouts with their dog for my feedback. And then, we can make little tweaks on form, or if maybe it was too much, we need to regress the exercise or try a different exercise.
Yeah, I also saw on your Instagram the before and after pictures where you've like drawn lines to show like their hips weren't lined up, but now they are. And, the back was sagging and now it's straight. And so that's another thing, that it's just like video and photos. You have a chance to freeze that moment and really catch things that your eye is trained to catch, but like we're certainly not going to see as it's happening in real time.
Totally. Yeah. There's so much that you don't really see as it's happening. So I find video and photos really helpful, even for myself.
I think for all training can benefit from being videoed, to be honest. You can learn a lot from watching it.
Oh, totally. Like our dog's body language and stuff. Sometimes we don't notice like yeah, just certain things that I guess maybe they're trying to communicate with us that we kind of miss in the moment.
Yeah. So I'm about to ask a very important question, but I want to go back to when I asked earlier about quote unquote, I have it in little air quotes, cardio. And you said your programs don't usually include a lot of that. Do you think it's an important aspect of most dogs, though, to just have that kind of outlet? Or does it depend dog by dog?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's super important. There's precautions that we take for puppies. We don't want to overdo it, especially certain types of cardio like stairs or jumping till the growth plates are closed, as well as senior dogs. I work with a lot with senior dogs, and there's only so much cardio that they can really do. We kind of focus more on just like the lighter sniff walks and working really good on posture and the flexibility. But I think all dogs, like especially when they're sort of middle age, definitely benefit from cardio. It's a really great energy outlet, and most dogs think it's super fun.
Yeah.
It's good for the heart and lungs and blood flow throughout the body. So definitely, I think cardio is super important. Yeah.
Yeah. And it can be hikes, swimming, walks, tug,
Totally.
fetch, lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, most people that work with me do like the walks and stuff like that with their dogs or other dog sports and stuff. So yeah, if I feel like it's necessary to add that into the regime, I will. But usually it's more just kind of the controlled movement patterns and stuff that need to be worked on more.
Oh, that's very interesting. So up until now, we've been talking about general quality of life, making sure that they have great posture so that they're not in pain and that they can get the most out of their life. But when you say like dog sports, do you have dog sport athletes that you can do canine fitness to actually specifically improve their performance in, say, dock jumping or something else?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So dock diving as an example, those dogs are going into like extreme extension in their body as they're jumping off. And so we really want to make sure that they're able to control that so they don't accidentally like slip a limb out. And we want to make sure that I guess both sides are equal in their hips. If one hip flexor is tighter than the other side, then they're not going to be as efficient when jumping. They're going to be kind of crunched over into one side. So we want to make sure that they're able to control that extension properly and just kind of have the strength and flexibility to do so, which will also help their sport performance as well. Another big one, I have clients that do fly ball. And so that's a lot of twisting of the spine in one direction, which can, like anything that we're only doing in one direction repetitively, will cause muscular imbalances. So we want to make sure that we are doing exercises to work the other side, as well as their dominant side there, just to make sure that they are controlling the movement properly. And then same with jumping. We want to make sure that we are jumping with good form and that we're making sure that the feet, especially the front feet and the shoulders and the wrists, are all nice and strong because they do take a big impact when we're landing from a jump. So yeah, just kind of being able to make sure that we're not going to hurt anything during the sport, as well as exercises that can complement the sport and help with sport performance.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what kinds of equipment do you use? I know that I've seen so many balance things, like the balance. It's not a balance ball, but it's like a balance pad and the little paw pads. Are there any other kinds of things that you use a lot or find very useful in canine fitness?
Yeah, so the main things, like I have every piece of equipment, and it's funny. It's funny now because like I really primarily just use a sit platform. So it's just a platform that's about as wide as your dog's hips so we ask them to sit on the platform, and the idea is that they tuck in nice and tight into a nice tight sit. Because sit posture is a big one that I see. Dogs either have rounded backs or their legs are splayed out. So a nice sit platform, so they can sit nice and tight on the platform is really nice. If we let our dogs be in bad posture, one thing I always think of is ligaments can stretch, but they don't go back. So the more that we let them be in that unnatural posture, the more unstable the joints around those ligaments are getting. So posture is super huge. So another thing I like to use is, I call them balance bars. So it's basically just two pieces of 2x4s that I set up in the dog's, what their ideal square stand would be. so that we can get our dogs to practice good posture with that front foot target on one and a rear foot target on the other. Just kind of communicates to the dog, like, this is where I would like your feet to be while we're practicing good posture. So I use those a lot. I also really like the Paw Pods. So the 4 little domes that we get them to put their paws on. They're amazing for body awareness. Obviously, your dog has to know like where all 4 feet are to be able to get on there. But another thing I really like them for is the dome shape encourages engagement of their toes. And because so many dogs have weak feet, it's just like a really nice piece of equipment to be able to engage those feet in good posture. So I love the Paw Pods. And then everything else is just kind of, I guess, like if owners have it, it's really nice to use. A lot of things can be replaced with like a cushion or a pillow. But the balance equipment is nice because it does cause the stabilizer muscles to turn on to kind of resist the instability of the equipment. So it works all of those little stabilizer muscles throughout the body. So kind of the muscles that are surrounding the joints and the core. So that's really, really great for if you want to kind of build up those areas. So I definitely recommend including balance equipment. I just usually focus first on good posture because good posture is balance training. So good posture first, and then once we're kind of able to nail that, we add in the extra challenge of the inflatables.
Okay. And I know that are they called Paw Pods?
Yeah.
Rolls off the tongue. The Paw Pods are used in trick training as well. And it's actually, I want to say, an advanced or like the level above advanced trick, usually to just tell your dog to get on them and they walk over and put all 4 paws on them. So it's not easy or comes naturally usually to the dogs, that kind of body awareness. How difficult is it? Do the owners find it sometimes to teach the dogs these movements and work them through the reps?
Yeah, so the Paw Pods are definitely very advanced. So it's something I am working on a targeting course. I find it easy enough to teach a dog how to target things, but I think the challenge is kind of teaching another human how to teach a dog how to do that.
Sure.
Yeah, so I've taught like a lot of dogs in my life how to do it, but it's definitely a very time-consuming thing, teaching them how to like put all 4 paws on 4 different things. So that's definitely more advanced. So I don't use those with most of my clientele just for that reason. The front paws are pretty easy, and the front paws are usually where I see a lot of weakness. So we can train the front paws fairly easy. But all of the other exercises are, I mean, they're pretty easy to teach once you kind of figure out the art of like a good lure. I do use a lot of luring in class just because I do work with a lot of like beginner trainers. And once you kind of figure out just like how your hand movement can influence what your dog is going to do, it's all pretty easy to teach them how to do things. Yeah.
And hey, if you want to teach your dog tricks, once you've taught them better body awareness,
it's definitely
easier for them. For sure. This is what I love about it. Everything's very complementary to each other. You know, all these other canine sports, they can benefit from canine fitness, all the fun things like doing tricks, like it can all benefit in addition to just your dog's body, just like our body can benefit. I love it.
Totally.
So how do you find a qualified fitness trainer? Because it's an unregulated industry and people can call themselves whatever they want. I am not a fitness trainer and I would not attempt to, train someone beyond maybe some basic body awareness stuff. So how do you, what makes a person a qualified fitness trainer and how can someone set about finding one?
So the 2 best certifications in canine fitness would be the Certified Professional Canine Fitness Trainer, which is through Wizard of Paws Rehabilitation, and they teach that through the Fenzi Dog Sports Academy. So that's one certification that I would definitely look for, and I know that they have a directory of all of the certified trainers through that. The other one is the Certified Canine Fitness Trainer through the University of Tennessee. And I believe that they're a bit slow on updating their website because I have that certification as well, and I'm not on there yet. But yeah, those are the two. So the credentials are CPCFT and then CCFT. So yeah, those are the two. There are other programs, but I think they're a little bit questionable.
These are the best, maybe, because it's very scientific what you're doing. It's not just like, well, I think this, oh, I think that. It's like you need to have the trained eye to see the imbalances or the deficiencies and know the best way to fix it. And you can definitely injure your pet, or God forbid yourself, trying to do things that are unsafe with someone that doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to watch out for. And I feel like I'm always learning new things. But yeah, just like the different, just like how to have good form and what good form looks like for each different kind of dog. It definitely isn't something that just kind of we have naturally. It definitely takes training to be able to know exactly what's going on there. And I am really grateful for my human fitness background, because I do think it's been super helpful, because we're different, but we're not that different.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining me today. My biggest takeaways from this conversation are: every dog can benefit from a canine fitness program, but it should be guided by a qualified, certified instructor. It's not about obedience, but it's about improving their posture, mobility, and flexibility, which can prevent pain, injury, and improve their quality of life. You can take classes with Sarah. Find her at sitstaysquat.ca. You can follow her on Instagram at sitstaysquat, which I highly recommend. And you can get on her email list to get info straight in your inbox. Thanks for coming to the dojo to learn with me this week. This is your aspiring sensei, Susan Light, signing off. If you'd like to find me, I'm at doggydojopodcast.com, or I'm at Susan Light LA on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. The music was written by Mac Light. You can find him at maclightsongwriter.com. If you liked the show, you can support it by subscribing, sharing it with your friends, rating it, and reviewing it on Apple Podcasts. See you in 2 weeks with another new episode of the Doggy Dojo.